Welcome, everyone, to this meeting of the South Kingstown Town Council. This is for a regular session. It is around 7:30, and it is Monday, February 22nd, 2016. First order of business is to pledge to the flag. Please rise and join me. Thank you. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Council President Collins.
Here.
Council Vice President Healy.
Here.
Councilwoman Clow.
Here.
Councilwoman Gledhill.
Here.
Councilman Bailey.
Here.
All members present.
Item 4 on the agenda is the approval of minutes of previous meetings. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve item number 4, both A and B, for the work sessions of February 4th and February 8th, and the regular sessions of February 8th, 2016.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Item 5 is the consent agenda. Do we hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve item number 5 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. And it brings us to item 6 on our agenda, licenses. 6A is a resolution granting a victualling license to CC Mart, doing business as CC Mart, on 471 High Street, Wakefield, application by Rami Nada of 42 Kingston Ave, Newport, Rhode Island. Is Rami here?
How are you guys?
Hey, good. How are you? So, yeah, just state your name for the record.
Okay, my name is Rami Nada. I'm just applying for a license to get the CC Mart open. Really good community around here. You guys are really nice. I just want to provide some services for the people, especially when it gets snowy. Just get bread, milk, eggs, like, you know, the necessity for the house in a reasonable price, you know. It's a good area, you know, so that's exactly why.
Very good. Do we have any questions? Yeah.
Any change in your operation from the last tenant there?
Well, it's not much changes as much as I'm trying to get the big companies to come over here so I can provide a cheaper
Yep.
stuff than, like, you know, be reasonable as much as like the big stores. So that's basically what I want to do, get bigger so I get the products cheaper for everybody around here.
Sure.
Because-
And are your hours going to be similar?
From 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night.
Great.
Yeah.
7 days, will you be open 7 days?
7 days a week, yeah.
It's convenient having it right there. So.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 6A.
Second.
So moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys so much.
Good luck.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
6B is a resolution granting a theater license to the Contemporary Theater Company of 327 Main Street in Wakefield. Application is by Christopher J. Simpson, who I don't see in the audience, but we know Chris pretty well. I think we had this on our agenda and not on the consent agenda because Joe needs to...
I will
Recuse himself.
recuse on this item. I'm a member of the board of the theater. Otherwise, this is a renewal and fairly routine.
So do I hear a motion on this?
I make a motion to approve 6B, granting the theater license to the Contemporary Theater Company for renewal.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
One recusal.
And by a vote of 4-0 with one recusal, that motion passes. And that brings us to item 7, a public hearing. This is a public hearing relative to the proposed amendment to the Town Code, Chapter 10, Motor Vehicles and Traffic. And it's written out in your agendas, so I will not read everything that we're going to do, but this would add After repealing the statutory language in regard to Moonstone Beach Road, it would add Moonstone Beach Road, the easterly side. Parking shall be allowed and limited to South Kingstown resident beach parking stickered vehicles from May 1st to September 15th between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. And this stickered parking is allowed between NECO pole number 77 at the entrance to the turnaround circle at the town's right-of-way in a northerly direction to pole number 75, which is a distance of 561 feet. Violations of the South Kingstown resident sticker requirement will be assessed a fine of $50 and towing is authorized. On the easterly side, no parking anytime from pole 75 in a northerly direction to Cards Pond Road, a distance of 0.2 miles. Towing is authorized. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. What's before you is a recommendation from the Transportation Traffic Review Committee to repeal the existing parking ordinances on Moonstone Beach Road in that area between Cards Pond Road southbound into the town's right-of-way to the ocean. The parking ordinance, as it presently exists, has existed for a long, long period of time and provides for parking spaces for town residents who possess stickers, beach stickers, which currently cost $40 a year. I understand there may be a move to increase it this year. The available parking space for people with stickers accommodates about 25 cars. It's 561 or 62 feet. But what occurs is that there are some people, quite a few people, who are willing to pay the $20 fine to park there all day to avail themselves to that beautiful beach down there. Because of that, some of the people who have purchased the beach stickers can't park. There's no spaces for them to park. I think that's fundamentally unfair. I know I wouldn't want to put down $40 and not be able to park because someone who didn't has taken my space. So one of the elements that's before you today is to increase the fine from $25 to $50, only for that area. This is not townwide, only for that area. Now, the language of the existing ordinance is inaccurate. When it was promulgated, they utilized some landmarks which no longer exist. It talks about the corner of the town beach parking lot. I've been down there several times working on this ordinance. I can't even find where the parking lot was. So this proposal before you clarifies the language and identifies the area where parking is allowed. As I just stated, it accommodates about 25 cars. And let's see. This will alleviate complaints that the police department has received in the past years. And the complaints are justified, as I just indicated. People are parking down there who don't have stickers. So our recommendation is that you repeal the present ordinance and adopt what's before you, our recommendation, which clearly identifies the parking area which will be authorized, and then increases the fine. I'd like to tell you that we're going to make a concerted effort this year to attempt to control the parking down in Moonstone. This council, a couple of meetings ago, passed an ordinance which relates to Matunic Beach Road and the lower areas of Blackberry Hill, where problems have manifested itself. So we're going to make a concerted effort this year to try to control it. This is part and parcel, so the Transportation Traffic Review Committee is asking you to adopt this ordinance as presented.
Thank you, Chief. I like this get tough attitude. All right. Any questions for Chief before he steps away from?
No, this is pretty clear, and I personally trust the Traffic Review Committee to act on our behalf here. I mean, to
I
put
agree.
this together for us. They're the experts. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I just have a quick question. You will obviously then put new signs up there to make it clear.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a component of it. We'll have some new signs up there, and the appropriate terminology will be on the signs. So
Right.
we'll make it perfectly clear that the parking is for stickered vehicles only.
Right. I think some people, when they go down there, are confused as to what sticker. They look around, they're not really sure, and I think there's been a little bit of confusion, but,
I'm well aware of that, and, the ordinance has to be in place, and then
right,
we'll put the signs up.
right, that's great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any people from the public who would wish to address this issue?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
So moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the public hearing is closed. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve item number 7 with the change that is suggested to repeal item A and to add the easterly side parking as presented by Chief Vespia.
Second?
So moved. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
So now we can think summer,
Yes.
Kind of, we are already.
summertime.
Yes, let that be a warning to everybody to buy their beach passes now. Item 8. Under Communications, item B is a communication dated February 4th, 2016, from Kenneth J. Burke, proposing consideration of an ordinance regarding snow removal from sidewalks in town. It's been received and placed on file. We'll decide what we're going to do with it, but I see Kenny in the audience, if you'd like to come up here.
Thank you, Council President, members of the staff. I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that I appreciate you even entertaining the discussion. It is most definitely a starting point for a conversation, not meant to be something that is even remotely passable. So just the fact that we're talking about it, I think, is a wonderful thing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
I'll make a motion to place item number 8B on file.
Second?
So moved. All in favor, say aye.
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 That
Did we-
motion. Do you want to
No.
further discussion?
Well, I didn't know if we wanted to, we're just going to put it on file, not refer it to anybody?
We could actually refer back to John Schock, and then we could place it on file for further discussion.
Yeah, just so if, like Kenny said, it's the start of a conversation.
Yeah.
If he has any new, ideas, or him and John maybe could sit down and talk, see if there's some solutions they can come up with and bring it back to the council.
If you want, we can amend the motion, correct? The motion is on... To John Schock for further discussion, even with the council or with...
As stated, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that motion carries unanimously. Item 8C is a communication dated February 9th from Maria Mack, Chair expressing the Planning Board's concerns with recently adopted amendments to the rules and standards of the State Planning Council, recommending that the Town Council request the General Assembly members to introduce legislation to extend the compliance deadline on the comprehensive review standards from June 1st, 2016 to June 1st, 2017. Vin, did you want to tell us a little bit about this?
This correspondence item relates to some concerns the planning board had with a pending state deadline of June 1st, 2016 for compliance with the Rhode Island general laws pertaining to comprehensive planning, which added some new items for consideration to the requirements and also embellished on other items. The June 1, 2016 deadline was seen by the planning board as not particularly doable, particularly insofar as the state planning council, recently adopted the standards handbook, which really puts the meat on the bones of the enabling statute. The planning board brought this to your attention. I guess there's also been discussions with our delegation to the General Assembly, and my understanding that bills will be placed in both the House and the Senate this week to extend that consideration in accordance with. There are quite a number of communities that are non-compliant with the standards of the state law now. South Kingstown's not one of them, but I think this law, if it's not some relief granted, would just add to that number, so it would be administratively unworkable on the part of communities. So a little more time to do it right would make a good deal of sense. I know the town manager indicated that when the legislation is filed, it could be brought back to the council for formal consideration of endorsement when you have a physical bill before the assembly to refer to.
That sounds good. And pass along our thanks to Representative and Senator who are working on this for us.
Well, thanks.
I think with that, we can probably put this on file until we have legislation to look at.
What I'd suggest is that you endorse the resolution as requested by the planning board. Once we get the legislation, we'll bring that back to you so you can specifically endorse the legislation before that goes upstate. The only thing you'll do tonight is to ask the local legislators to develop the legislation. Once we get the legislation, then you can send it upstate.
I'll make a motion to endorse the resolution and wait to see the legislation that's drafted.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that motion carries unanimously as well. And that brings us to item number 9 on our agenda, comments from interested citizens. And this is the public's opportunity to come up to the podium, say your name, and tell us what you're thinking about the job we're doing, or really just anything. Is there anybody out there who wants to talk to us? One of these days, I'm just going to start calling on people randomly. In that case, I believe there was one thing that we wanted to bring up from our point of view. Dale, we'd love to have an order of notice put in the paper relative to the amendment language for the town charter.
Could I ask that you just provide her with the resolution? What we'll do is we'll put an order of notice onto the next agenda. That order of notice will then give you a public hearing at a future meeting. Once that is done, then you can take appropriate action. But tonight, I would just request that you have Dale place on the next agenda the order of notice.
Order of notice for this. All right, there we go. Any other comments from council members? Very good. Then we'll move along to the town manager's report.
As I mentioned in the pre-session, we will be starting budget review for the 16-17 fiscal year. As of next Monday, we've got sessions scheduled for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Each of those is starting at 6:30. And we'll go through with the various departments each of the different funding requests for council consideration. Certainly the public is invited to those meetings. Deliberation at the table will be with the staff and council, but if time permits, the conclusions of those meetings, council would certainly have the opportunity to allow citizen comments or questions to be addressed.
Thank you. Anything from the solicitor's desk? No. All right, that brings us to item 12, which is appointments. And I believe we can make an appointment today. Sure.
Yeah, darn.
Who's going to do it?
I'd like to make a motion for appointment for item number 12A to appoint Alice Buckley for a 3-year term which would expire 2019.
Second?
To which committee are we appointing?
Affordable housing, sorry.
I'll
Very good.
second that motion.
Second. All right, any discussion on? All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Alice.
Thank you very much.
What about the watershed?
We had an opening because somebody retired or resigned from the Wood Pawcatuck Commission. Steve, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any reappointments to be made? All right, then. We're on to new business, item 13. 13B is a resolution authorizing the use of the Water Enterprise Fund unrestricted net assets for project costs associated with the East Mattoonic Water Main Interconnection Project to be reimbursed by FEMA and CDBG grant proceeds as they become available. Further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager on February 16th, 2016.
We're tightening up internal procedures as far as management of contracts. One of those procedure requirements now is that where there has to be a funding source for where dollars will be coming for each of these different contracts. This should have been on the agenda for February 8th, where it provides us with authority to spend municipal dollars and then have those reimbursed by the... In the past, we would have simply taken the action, but I felt that we need to start having a cause and effect shown through the council authorization. So I'd ask council approval on this tonight.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion to approve item number 13B.
Second?
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Item 13C is a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute RI Department of Transportation construction and maintenance agreements for High Street improvements, as further described in a memo from the Public Services Director, the town manager, dated February 11th, 2016.
We're anticipating that the High Street project will go out to bid this month. One of the requirements before it can go out to bid is to have the necessary approvals for work that will be done on town roads for drainage infrastructure. There's piping that comes off of 9 different streets that go through High Street. A component of this contract will actually be work on those 9 streets, where there'll be replacements in some cases of existing basins as well as piping. This agreement says, one, we're giving the state approval and its contractor to access municipal property, and 2, that once they've completed those improvements, which we've agreed on, that the town assumes all care, responsibility, and maintenance for those properties. Well, obviously, we already own those assets, and we're responsible for them. The improvements that are being made are a component of the High Street project, but also integral to the local drainage system. There's also going to be a second agreement that's going to be necessary. We've asked for a solar-powered signal that will be placed at the Wakefield School. We haven't seen that contract, which would indicate that we would have responsibility for operations and maintenance of that. I would expect we'll probably get that within the next couple of weeks. I'd ask council authorization to be able to sign and execute the necessary agreements as presented with the agenda this evening.
Motion to approve agenda item 13C.
I'll second that motion. I just want to be very cognizant, is that such a busy area in town that I'm sure RIDOT will be proud to, with the people that live there, because it's so heavily traveled. But I absolutely approve it. It has to be done.
And I think I spoke to you about this before, Steve. I've talked to a few businesses in Peacedale that had questions about the High Street project, when it starts and the process and where they're going to be. Once the contract's awarded, businesses will have the opportunity to come and find out more about the timeline and things.
Yes, once we get a contractor in place, we'll see if we can get an initial meeting. I think it's important that the contractor is most likely going to be working where they start on the outside of the right-of-way and work in. In other words, what they're going to deal with is the drainage infrastructure. They're going to deal with any of the road cuts that are necessary, because all of those infrastructure improvements need to be made first. The second step is, throughout the entire project, will be the removal of existing sidewalks, constructions of new sidewalks, and setting the new profiles. The last item, obviously, is really the main work in the road. We're expecting that this job will probably go 2 construction seasons. A lot of it depends on how the company wishes to phase it. Means and materials and semblance of the actual construction work under the bidding documents normally is to allow for the contractor to provide best practices, because he or she is going to be responsible for the price that they're bidding. We certainly are going to try to accommodate what we can, because that's a major business route, and we don't want to see the traffic interrupted, but there's certainly going to be major interruptions during that contract period. But we'll also be looking at this within the contract, signage requirements for the detours to get around the projects as well. But hopefully we get a good contractor, and hopefully we can get at least people comfortable with the fact that we're doing the best job possible to minimize the inconvenience.
So we had a motion, I believe, right?
Yeah, and I think Meg seconded it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. And item 13G is a resolution authorizing a conditional award of contract to Energy Development Partners of West Exchange Street in Providence for off-site virtual net metering services for the South Kingstown Solar Consortium, as further described in a memo from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager dated February 16th, 2016.
I think the council will recall on December 14th of 2015, council authorized a conditional award contract to Kearsarge Engineering for the installation of a solar project at 2 municipal landfills, the Superfund sites at Rose Hill and West Kingston. We're working in conjunction with the University of Rhode Island on the West Kingston sites, as well as one of the agricultural fields that would be part of this project. And we're working with the closed landfills that the university was on university property as well as municipal property, and we're dealing with the Rose Hill site, which involves the town of Narragansett. Narragansett was a co-owner and operator on Rose Hill and at the West Kingston site. So when we began looking at solar, we formed a consortium of the university, South Kingstown, and Narragansett. The contract award with Kearsarge now takes us to the next step, which is determination as to what the cost will be associated with the interconnect with National Grid. One of the components of the initial bidding that was proposed by our consultant was for us to also have as a component of the contract an ability for companies that would be able to deal with the excess energy that would be produced through the solar plant itself that would need to be used on governmental properties that were in excess of what our uses or the university uses would be. There were 4 companies that submitted proposals, and they've been evaluated by the town's consultant. The consultant has recommended that that a conditional award be made with Energy Development Partners. The information was presented in the recommendation. I can go through that in detail, but essentially what it indicates is that this company will have up to 50 megawatts of power available that they would be able to download to other governmental sites and they would be providing us with about a 22.5% discount savings. So not only would we have a contract with Corsage that would provide us with the rental of the facility, with the power agreement that's yet to be completed, but this would also provide us, once that is in place, to be able to offload that excess energy and be paid for that through EDP. So the recommendation tonight, which is supported both by the university and supported by the town of Narragansett, is for South Kingstown acting as the managing partner to approve the conditional award as presented on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. You look like you want to say something to us. Are you from EDP?
I'm from Narragansett, and I sit on the planning board.
Okay.
And we're looking at various virtual net meterings as part of our review of the comprehensive plan that, actually, I saw Maria Mack's motion that she made to you will probably bring a similar thing. But I didn't know if it was appropriate to speak at this time because I had some points to point out to you folks, since you're the managing member of the consortium, before you made a resolution to completely adopt this particular aspect of the bid. We've been following it since last November when the RFP went out. And I don't know if it's appropriate to speak at this point in time, introduce myself.
Certainly it is.
My name is Vincent Indalia. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Mr. Councilman, Mr. Alfred, Ms. Goins. I come here both in a capacity as a member of the Planning Board, which has some interest because of the responsibilities for a comprehensive plan, as well as an individual who's resided here for a number of years. The concept of virtual net metering is a relatively new concept. It allows for cities and towns, through private developers who are generating electrical energy from alternative sources outside of your town. This particular 50 megawatt proposal need not be in the town of South Kingston. And the energy that they generate allows them to feed it to you at a discounted rate. So when we saw this hit the agenda, or when I saw it hit the agenda, I attempted to get the proposals that were submitted by the 4 finalists. Unfortunately, in our town, we've had a little bit of upheaval with the passing of our town manager, and Mr. Cesarin is serving a dual capacity. I unfortunately contacted Jeff Schrock, and he's on vacation for a week, so I couldn't get the data from him. But the biggest concerns we had from what we were able to pull from Ms. Holtzburton's postings on the Internet were the fact that when we did some research on the 4, the Kearsarge was granted your on-site, in-town location. I presume that their proposal was similar in terms of what the rates were, but I don't have the proposal to compare that, yet they weren't the successful bidder. And the company that was selected, when you research them from what you can get on, they're not a publicly traded company, but the largest facility that they've built, I think, is a 1 to 2 megawatt system. They're contemplating a 50 megawatt system. That's a $125 million to $100 million construction project for a company that's only done a 1 to 2 million. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it says it's conditional, but I don't know what the conditions are. And while you have a consultant who's very well respected out of Maine, we can't tell what the financial backgrounds are of these companies. And since it is such magnitude to, well, in our part, we get a small point. So,
Perhaps Steve can answer this, but I think there's a distinction, because the first thing, Kearsarge, is still going to be
at Rose Hill and on-site in this town for that
and then,
tripartite agreement.
And the
VNM.
EDP would be managing the interconnection and the...
EDP would be taking any of the energy that's not used in town at one of our locations. They would be being able to take that energy off-site. Their price was 22.5%. Corsage, who bid, which was a separate component of the bidding, which was, it had nothing to do with the actual physical plant, bid in it at 12.5%.
Right, all of the other ones were within that 12.5, 10% range, and then you had somebody that was an anomaly that is the least experienced at twice the amount. And Mr. Alpha, with all due respect, I think that the virtual net metering, if our understanding as presented by Jeff Cesarine to our board was that it's virtual metering from a source other than those two sites on town, where as they feed it into government entities, you will be getting to purchase that electricity for your facilities at 22% less than what your regular electric bill is. It's just an offset of your electric bill.
My understanding, and the town of Narragansett has signed off on that.
Subject to having a full done agreement and
With-
running by us.
With both contracts, with both Corsage as well as this contract with, we're asking for conditional approvals. The due diligence is still being done. Our consultant, which is Competitive Energy Services, is still providing us with a detailed review of any of the proposals that come from either of those companies.
So that was probably got right to the point of what I was really getting to, because I hadn't been able to see what the RFPs were. When you say it's a conditional approval, making a resolution for conditional approval, it is still subject to all of the due diligence, financial background, et cetera.
I'm not aware as to why you have not been able to see those proposals, because certainly the town of Narragansett has full possession of all of those documents.
They do, and it's just the timing of the calls late last week, trying to get them to us. Jeff was out, John was out, and that's why I didn't get them delivered to me
I guess my
in time for
point
tonight.
is that we're looking for conditional approval tonight on this contract that's proposed, and in accord with what Competitive Energy Services says is in the collaborative's best interest. If we find that that's not the case, then certainly we would withdraw the offer based on the negotiations that we do. But at this point, we need to move forward with that contract proposal.
Okay, I just wanted to point those things out.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so do I hear a motion on 13G?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 6G.
13.
I'm sorry, 13G. I'm on page 6.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Second. All right, any discussion on this? Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously and brings us to the end of our agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Joe's going to say nay.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hey, it's